It was the early 1940s. War was brewing around the globe. In the U.S., people were nervous. The U.S. had avoided the war to this point, but on December 7th, 1941, while Americans were sitting down to dinner with their families, suddenly a news bulletin came over the radio airwaves. Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor. Just like that, America was at war.
On the horizon, the United States was attacked by the Japanese Empire at Pearl Harbor on the Hawaiian island of Oahu. On the morn of December 7th, sailors were awoken by a hailfire of bombs and torpedoes assaulting the residing warships and docks, scrambling to their battle stations.
Immediately, the government started a recruitment effort called Manpower to recruit more men into the armed forces.
There are 100 million of us, men and women of working and fighting age. To fight this war, 10 million more people must go to work by the end of 19...
In the end, more than 16 million men, some as young as 16, joined in the war effort. So many men leaving the United States in a very short time caused major problems in the United States. First, the men who joined the war effort left their jobs. Millions of jobs needed to be filled, and until they did, many businesses had to shut down. This meant major shortages of everything from household items to cars to gas to run the cars, and basic food supplies like milk, bread, and eggs, and so much more. This also meant that supplies would not be sent to the millions of soldiers who needed them on the other side of the world. Thousands of planes and ships, submarines, guns, thousands of war tanks, and food were desperately needed. Life seemed impossible. People were losing hope in the war effort as those left behind were worried and brokenhearted to see their loved ones go to war. The United States would not win the war if things didn't change, and quickly. So, when companies started opening their doors to women workers because they needed people to do the work, women didn't think they should or even could do the work. The Office of War Information of the United States government was assigned to help. They created a campaign called Womanpower to convince women that they not only could do the jobs, but that it was patriotic work to help win the war. They did this by using a method called propaganda. Propaganda is a very powerful way to convince people to think and do things differently than they would before. Propaganda during World War II was mostly patriotic and full of pride for the United States. Immediately, posters were made and put up everywhere targeting women. Messages were direct, inspiring, personal. They gave women a new identity and a new purpose, and showed women that they were brave, strong, and capable. And just like Rosie the Riveter, they could do it. The Office of War Information knew they had to connect with the majority of Americans to convince them to help win the war, and they knew they needed to go where Americans were. And most Americans were going to the movies. Most Americans went to the movies for a night of entertainment. The movies and comedies shown were produced to fill Americans with pride, inspire them, and lift their spirits. There were even cartoons made to get the kids of World War II on board with the war effort.
The Army's not the Army anymore. It's better than it's ever been before. The bugler blows, I can't get 'em up at 7:15. But if you're tired, stay right there and sleep until 11. Oh, the Army's not the Army anymore. The Army's not the Army anymore. It's better than it's ever been before. You used to walk a mile for beans, but now they bring 'em to you. And all the generals say hello as though they really knew you. Oh, the Army's not the Army anymore. They've got a lot of hostesses, the gals are really cuties, and entertaining these co-eds is part of your regular duties. Oh, the Army's not the Army anymore.
Sign here.
Yes, sir.
The one feature that everyone wanted to see when they went to the movie theater was newsreels. Newsreels were a 10-minute news program that showed images and video of people from exotic lands, news about entertainers. And during World War II, people would watch updates of what was happening with the war effort. Newsreels was one medium that the Office of War Information would use to reach women with the propaganda of Womanpower. The newsreels were produced in Hollywood, where movie studios added music and dramatic effects. They were filled with messages of propaganda. They were used to convince Americans to think differently about the war and get involved. And they were also used to boost morale.
They are overhauling machine guns at an aircraft factory in California. The feminine touch applied to weapons for fighter planes and bombers. Skill is required, and also strength. Strolling around the plant, we'll see many a husky arm at work. Finish your machine gun, girls, and let's see one of you shoot it from Obama with that heavy load of cartridges.
Did you notice any propaganda in that newsreel? Did you notice the patriotic music? Did you notice how the announcer sounded happy? What were they trying to convince women to do? Let's watch another newsreel. This time, I want you to listen and watch for what you think is propaganda.
Fashions for women war workers, and the keynote is safety. A suit for a girl welder at a shipyard with mask and goggles. The helmet takes care of her hair. Loose strands may get caught in machinery. Shown by the National Safety Council at Chicago. An ankle band to keep the bottoms of work trousers tight and snug. Proving that they wear hard-toed shoes, protection against objects falling on feet. Transparent mask protecting face and eyes against flying particles, and likewise a mask against dust and gases. On the left, the old-style worker's outfit, Angora sweater, fuzz, dangerous. She wears the new style. Tens of thousands of women are going into war production, and this puts emphasis on correct clothes. The right style as contrasted with the wrong style.
Did you see and hear the elements of propaganda? How about the music? Was the music inspiring? Think about how different this was for women. The fact that they showed fashion was also propaganda to convince women that they didn't need to be dirty and unkempt to work in these positions that were traditionally held by men. They could be stylish and safe.
Cheering and waving, they're the largest contingent of WWIIs to arrive at Naples and the first to be sent by high-speed convoy directly from the United States to this Mediterranean port. The girls are seeing the world. Some will be sent on to Algiers, others to stations in the Middle East. Yes, the WWIIs go places.
Because of Rosie the Riveter and the Womanpower campaign, women were given opportunities to take on jobs that they never would have been able to before. World War II had solidified the notion that women were strong and capable and were in the workforce to stay. By the time the war ended in 1945, nearly 6 million heroic, strong, and brave Rosies were just as much a part of the victory as the soldiers who fought in the battlefield.
All the day long, whether rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie the Riveter keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage, sitting up there on the fuselage. That little frail can do more than a male can do. Rosie the Riveter. Rosie's got a boyfriend, Charlie. Charlie, he's a Marine. Rosie is protecting Charlie, working overtime on the riveting machine. When they gave her a production knee, she was as proud as a girl could be. There's something true about red, white, and blue about Rosie the Riveter. Rosie, Rosie, Rosie the Riveter on the assembly